Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Poor Man Mods. If you remember this car from the last episode we did with it, we completely destroyed it with a cheap eBay $1,000 catback exhaust. No, we actually didn't destroy it. Some of you actually thought we destroyed it, but it was a Tomei titanium exhaust, so it's okay. We actually didn't Poor Man mod it. We just worked on it. But today, if you remember, we did a Cube short shifter in my Mark III Super with the R154, and Cube liked it so much that they sent us another Cube short shifter for this R32 GTR. So we're gonna yank the crappy factory shifter out and throw this badass Cube shifter in. It'll make it feel nice and awesome, have super short throws, and we'll give you a before and after measurements and feel and all that. And it should be a pretty easy install. You don't have to remove the whole shifter plate. So with that being said, let's get to it.
Hey guys, so before we start taking this apart, Freddie thought it'd be a good idea if I came in as the owner and the driver of the car to talk a little bit about why we're doing this. Long story short is that these cars are, in this case, 27 years old. You're not going to come across one legally that's less than 25. And cars at this age have problems. They need repairs, after so many years of use or neglect, depending on the previous owner. So this thing has got, it is a sports car shifter, but it's still a fairly long throw. We're going to get some measurements of that. And then even after it's in gear, I assume from years and years of wear, there's just a lot of play. My 240, I run a B&M, so I really like a very short, very firm engagement. And once it's in gear, I don't mind a little rattle or buzz. So we'll find out if the Cube shifter has any noise, but I don't mind noise. I would much rather trade noise for this type of slop. I'd much rather have a firm, direct engagement, short throw, and none of this nonsense once it's in gear. All right, so we're just gonna get a quick measurement of the factory throw, and obviously there's some play, so it's hard to get this exact, but from top left, first gear, down into second gear. And what's that?
Six
and change.
Looks like 6.5.
Yeah, right about that. Yeah, and there's a little slop in there.
Okay, so installing the shifter is pretty easy. The first thing you have to do is remove the factory shift knob. Then remove the ashtray, and behind here there's supposed to be 2 screws, but there aren't any right here. But there are 2 screws right in here that you need to remove. Then just like a 240, lift up on this trim to remove it. Then there's going to be a couple plugs behind it that you have to remove.
There you go.
Okay. Is that factory?
Yeah.
That is interesting. Then there's a couple connectors back here, which can be pretty difficult to remove.
Use your hands.
Nissan connectors are the worst. Well, they do seem pretty difficult. We probably don't need to disconnect them. We could leave this just like that. Okay, now you're gonna remove the 4 10mm bolts on the shifter boot. You could also use a Phillips, but I wouldn't recommend that. You might strip them if they're pretty tight. So the car is running pretty good?
Yeah, it's running right now.
No boost leak?
No, I got since I replaced those messed up gaskets.
Yeah.
Both of the turbo hot pipe gaskets were blown.
Jeez.
So no freaking wonder, man.
Okay, once you get the 4 bolts out, you can remove the boot. Now we pretty much have access to the shifter. That has a leak in it, it looks like. That boot looks pretty wet. Now there's a zip tie here and one down here that you have to cut so you can remove the boot. But don't cut the boot. Now you can remove the boot. This is very hot. I'll let that cool down. Okay, so now with the boot up, we need to remove 2 retaining rings. The first one you'll just need a flathead screwdriver for. The second one you will need snap ring pliers. That's annoying. Once you get the retaining ring popped up, it should get started. You should be able to remove it all the way around. Got it. Now we need to get the next one. You need snap ring pliers, and you're gonna need them to squeeze. And actually, I have this pretty badass set right here. As you can see, squeezing the handle, it's spreading. Flip of a switch, it's closing it. So they're reversible and the tips are interchangeable. So if you need a cool set of snap ring pliers, I'll have a link in the description to these and you can pick it up. And it's actually pretty cheap too. And pull the shifter out. Then don't forget to remove the factory bushing. So this kit comes with two different lower bushings for the shifter. You need to match it up to the one that's on your factory shifter. So as you can see right here, the larger bushing that comes in the kit is matching up nicely with our factory bushing. The smaller one is not for us. But just in case it is, it comes with two, just to make sure you can get the right one. Now, with everything out of the factory shifter housing, we need to install this spacer. Now this is going to go in, and then the factory pivot bushing will go on top. Now we install the factory pivot bushing. Okay, so now we're going to install the bottom bushing on the shifter. Just put a little grease on there. Just a little bit. Then install the bushing to the vise. With the bushing on the shifter, you're going to grease this up even more. You want it thoroughly greased, and then install it into the hole. Alright, now we're going to install the top bushing. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but you can feel this is beveled to hug the top of the shifter ball. So you're going to install this right on top. Now comes the part where we need to install the retainer. This part looks pretty interesting. So what needs to happen, the kit includes two lock rings that are going to install on the ridge, about 3/4 of an inch down on the shifter. They're gonna go into the ridge like so, and the plate will go on top and bolt to it. Now it's looking like it's gonna be real fun to bolt these together. So we're going to install the first retainer on the back, and we're going to have the nuts facing up. This is going to give us a lot more room for the threads. We actually tried this before with the nuts facing down, and there didn't seem to be enough threads on there. So this is kind of like take number 2. Oh, that's way more. See if I can get these started. This is a 5mm hex key that I'm using. And I got all 4 started. So now what we're going to do, these do need Loctite on them. So we're going to get all 4 of these snug and then take these out one by one to put the Loctite on. Now we're going to remove one bolt at a time to put the provided Loctite on them. You just need a little bit, you don't need to overdo it. Cool. On to the next one. And just repeat this same process for all 4 bolts. It's time to install the upper portion of the shifter. We're going to put some Loctite on here too, just to make sure it stays in place. Now we're going to reinstall the factory boot and retainer. Now reinstall the trim.
Just need 240 started the top.
Now finally we can install the shift knob. We did get a cube shift knob with our kit, but we're going to put the factory knob back on just to stay consistent with the measurements and for a factory look for right now.
Alright, so we're just going to get a quick measurement of the factory throw, and there, obviously there's some play, so it's hard to get this exact, but from top left, first gear, down into second gear. So again, the after shot, we're here in first, push all the way forward, to neutral, to second, first, neutral, second. So, wiggling gears, reduced.
Still some wiggle, but not eliminated, right?
Yeah, it's not nearly as bad as it was.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the cube shifter installed. It feels absolutely fantastic. Installation really wasn't all that bad. It was kind of tricky at some parts, but we managed to get it done. It should only take you, I would say, 2 hours at the most. So if you guys like this shifter, if you want to get one for your R32 GTR, I will have a link in the description for it. Definitely want to give a big thanks to Cube for setting us out one. It feels fantastic, just like the one we put in the Supra. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want one of these shifters, check out the link below. Big thanks once again to Cube, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.